All right. I am here today with Anushka from our Girls in Tech board and Ronele Coetzee. Thank you for joining us in our Rebel Stories series. Just another reminder around why we do these stories. This is just an opportunity for us to meet and greet with somebody else who's in the tech sector, who we feel is an absolute inspiration. Really, it's 15 minutes to get to hang out with you, Ronele, and we're really looking forward to it.
Thank you very
Thank,
much, ladies. I'm looking forward to it too. Thanks for the opportunity.
thanks so much. Welcome, Ronelle. Thanks for the intro, Monique. Um, so basically, I met Ronelle many moons ago in about 2003, 2004 sometime, where we worked together at the Fashini Group. And Ronelle used to be a developer, as far as my memory serves me. But I know that Ronelle now works as a business analyst um, at a few companies. She's worked as a business analyst, including the current company. And Ronelle, we'd really like to hear your story about how you got into tech and how you got into this amazing career of business analyst. And maybe as a little bit of context, you can share with our listeners what is it that a business analyst does?
Yeah, I think your memory is still very sound, Anushka. I don't think it was that far back. um, but yeah, so I started out, I think for me, my story starts in my matric year. So I was at a school on the Cape Flats, and our school were the recipients of a computer lab. And I think the day I walked into that lab, I I think I was hooked. You know, out went the aspirations of a marine biologist, and in walked this geek. You know, um, we had so much fun connecting and networking the computers. If I could sleep in that lab, I would. Um, so very quickly, I changed and I went and I studied. My first option was IT. And then during my studies, I, as most students do, picked up a day job or, well, a night job essentially. And I started at the Fashini Group in the collections department. So for me, it was an amazing time after campus. I'd arrive at the Fashini building and work a shift from 20 to 5 to 9 at night, every night, and including Saturdays. And on the off chance that there was someone off sick and it was holidays from campus, etc., we'd pick up some of these shifts during the day, and I'd sit in the canteen and realize, oh, but there's another building. Why are people walking through this concourse area? You know, and I asked someone, what building's across the way? And they said to me, it's the IT building. And that is, for me, where everything just came full circle. And I was like, that's where I'm going to work. And the one day I marched across and I went to knock on the HR lady's door. And I said to her, hi, I'm Ronelle. I work across the road at night in the contact center and I'm studying IT. And I'd really, really like to be open to either mentorship or any opportunities that you have. And she's like, no, great. Thanks for introducing yourself. And off I went. And as soon as I graduated, I did the same thing. And I said to them, hi, it's me again. I've graduated. This is what I'm interested in. My major was development. I'd really like an opportunity, even if it's just, you know, a heads up that a vacancy would be available soon. And I graduated and took on a second job. So during the day I worked, and then at night I worked at TFG, not wanting to let go of this job because I knew this was my foot in the door to across the road. Um, and then I got a call from the HR lady at the time. She was amazing. And she said, there's a vacancy, but it's on our help desk, the IT help desk. So that's where it all started. I got my foot in the door by being the first line help desk support, and went knock on the door again and said, my major was development. And I'd really like to also be a developer. So if there is any opportunity, can you please let me know? It was bordering on stalking. And
I
lo
wonder
and
if the
behold,
HR team had a picture of your face on the wall and said, if this lady knocks on the door, just say yes.
yeah, I'm not home. Tell them I'm not home. And then there was about a year and a half later, there was a position for a junior developer or junior programmer, as we were called back then. And I applied, and I went through all the testing, did all, the psychometrics and the technical tests and all of those things, and I was successful for the placement. And I moved to the development team. I had an amazing mentor there, and he helped shape the developer or the person that I was in the organization at the time. So very understated manager, but you get those strong silent leaders that actually lead by example, and I was lucky to end up in a team with someone like that. And then I quickly rose into the levels that you go through naturally in a company, and I ended up as a senior analyst programmer a few years later. And I realized that the part of that role for me was the people aspect that I enjoyed more. I enjoyed being in those war rooms, shaping solutions and understanding people's processes and unpacking them, and finding out why you're moving this one piece of thing to something else and what the reason is behind it, all of that. At the time, there was no role called a business analyst. Um, I think it was just pulled into different roles that existed at the time, things like the solutions architect, things like the dev manager, things like the senior analyst programmer. And then I started hearing this role called a business analyst. And for me, that was um, a big moment, because then again, I felt this is where I belong. This is, I like the dev work. Um, I wasn't necessarily bad at being a dev, but I really, really was drawn to the people. I wasn't that typical dev that wanted to be just in front of my PC with my headsets on. I wanted to go and speak and meet and greet, Oscar Nishushi shaking. And I wanted to understand, I wanted to place myself in the role of the consumers of whatever we were building, to understand what the true pain points were. I then applied to do my business analysis diploma through FTI, and Fushini gave me that opportunity. And then I moved into the PMO division, project management office, as a business analyst, and I started honing my craft, or as I like to call it, again, my tool belt, building my tools that I put into my BA tool belt. Um, it's not necessarily throwing everything at a problem. It's understanding what is needed and why it's needed. So that was my evolution from techie, building my own PC at home, into building
Knocking
systems
on the HR
and
door
knocking
again and again. Well,
and
I
again.
always think when we have these conversations, it's just always for me so inspiring to think of, if we have members, especially young members for Girls in Tech who might be watching this interview, sort of ideas for them around how do you listen to someone like yourself who has moved along that career trajectory, and what are the take homes. And what I'm hearing from you very much is keep making the opportunity, because actually opportunities don't always come, do they? A lot of the time you have to open the HR door yourself. And it sounds like you've always had a very strong view of what you wanted at a certain point in time, which is sort of a perfect segue for also just understanding, and I think this is relevant for our younger members, if there was something you would advise your younger self, whether it's to help you know what you wanted or even to help you know what you didn't want, because that's often important to know what you don't need in that tool belt. What kind of advice would you give your younger self that might help some of our younger members who are listening?
Um, for me, I think what is important is it's okay to fail. It's
Mm.
it's I think for us I've always been very goal driven. I've always said I'm going to go from point A to B, and this is how I'm going to go, and this is how I'm going to do it. And for me, in my first year of studying, I failed. I failed for the first time ever in my
As in
life.
the year or the course?
The I think um, for me, it's an important message just to just carry across to young women, especially because we have so much pressure placed on us to succeed
Mm.
in order to shine. You know, um, for me, the anxiety of actually going into first year, you know, um, was very high, and I wouldn't give myself that opportunity to fail. Um, and for me, that message now is it's okay. It's okay to fail as long as you get up again. And it was my dad who said to me, look, so what? You know, the the biggest question you need to ask yourself is where are you going to from here? Are you going to decide that maybe this isn't for you, or are you going to, pick yourself up and go and try again and plan and just get moving? And that's exactly what I did. And the fact that I failed first year is not, to me, is not something that I'm ashamed of. I think it for me, it showed me that you can still get to where you want to be, even though you have an extra stumbling block or two, in your path.
Mm.
Your failure does
Powerful
not
message.
define who you are. How
Right.
you handle it is what defines who you are. And for me, that now is a lesson that I would very happily give to that 19-year-old, that struggled with the first
Love
year.
that.
And it was all around, were you ready to actually go to that next step?
Mm.
And I think that's why I became that tenacious, that I knocked on doors because I felt like I missed out and I felt like I needed to catch up. And that pressure never released until I actually realized it's okay for things not to go your way. And that you are enough to pick yourself up and move forward. Um, yeah. So
Mm,
so
great.
that for me was a big lesson. And
Anushka,
I
isn't
yeah.
that interesting in the dev space? And I'm sure you find this in your teams. I find it with mine, is failure has become really critical to advancement with development teams, in particular in tech, because it's first attempt in learning. And it's fail fast, get the learning, and like you say, move on. So really beautiful to hear you apply that at an individual level and not just at a team level. I think that's an amazing lesson for listeners. Thank you.
Yeah, Ronald reminded me that I once failed a course when I was at university. I was like, wow, this university thing is easy, getting in there, getting your A's, and then kaboom, 27. I was
Oh,
like, whoa, was that a percent? Oh, I was devastated. Um, but it was also a lesson for me to say, well, you can be flying and, you let your guard down for one semester and things can go
And
horribly wrong. So you're definitely bringing back some amazing memories for me. Thanks,
yeah.
Ronelle. Ronelle, during this time, I mean, I can hear that you dug deep and there was something within you that allowed you to move forward the way you did and to learn the lessons you did. So, my question to you is what was the biggest factor you think that led to your success and you overcoming what you went through?
Um, I think for me, and I have to again dig dig deep. I think you kind of go on autopilot, right? For 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 most of everything, you take everything in your stride. Um, you go and you just move forward because that's what we're told. Rolling stone gathers no moss, type of thing. But I think it's when you start becoming mindful of what you want to do and how you want to approach things and actually realize that you need to develop yourself first before you develop anything else, and that for me is a new lesson that I've learned on my journey recently is that introspection is key, and only when you do those kinds of things can you facilitate these big workshops, and can you lead people to solutions that they need and not, the ones that they want. Um, and I think it's that mindfulness that makes that probing questions and facilitation angles possible, because you've kind of looked at something at in 4D, um, and then you can say, okay, well, these are the things you need to anticipate, and or you can ask questions that will lead people to get to where they need to be instead of where they want to be. Again, we all want a Ferrari, but you can only have the Ferrari when one, you have a driver's license, and two, you can afford it. So these are the types of things that I think is the lessons that's gotten me where I am today, as well as an amazing support structure. I have had really great mentors. I've had women, strong, very strong women who've taught me that it was okay to actually sit at the table. You don't have to hide that you are bold, that you are strong, that you are tenacious, and that you are humble. Um, and then I've had men who have taught me exactly the same, or who have balanced me on the other end, where I've not had a great engagement with these people, but I've taken a great lesson out of that situation or that engagement. So that for me was also key on the journey, in that the people that you surround yourself with are people that you can learn from, and we don't have to learn everything from just one person. It's great when you can take both good and bad lessons from each individual that you interact with on a daily basis, and then apply that to yourself. Firstly, I'm my own biggest critic, and then secondly, impart those lessons to others in a kind and meaningful way. And for me, that is big. Honesty, humility, and kindness in everything and anything that you do is key.
I think you've hit so many great themes there for us and for our members. I mean, be mindful, be self-aware, but be of yourself, but also very mindful and very self-aware of who you bring into your group, of who influences you, because the people that are around us are, whether it's personal life or whether it's career, they're the people that help drive us in a certain direction. And talking about direction, I know that your career has moved from, you mentioned the Machinery Group earlier, obviously in retail. I believe you're in the banking sector now. And from a girls in tech perspective, our big vision is obviously to encourage more girls to be interested in a career in technology. We believe that the tech industry is for every industry now. So, whether it's clothing or whether it's financial services, tech is needed in every business. What I'd love to hear your thoughts on, and maybe even particular to your role, because girls in tech wants to inspire more girls to get into this industry, and for sure it is for ultimate diversity, but where we're at right now is to encourage young girls at school maybe listening to this to think a business analyst sounds like the kind of role I'd like to do. What is your thinking around why in particular girls are needed in this type of role or in our industry?
Yeah, so for me, in the community that I grew up in Mitchell's Plain, women have always been at the forefront of that community, the driving force of that community, the strength and the pillar of that community. And I feel that the title or leadership is not just linked to a specific title. Leadership is when you show that you stand for what is right, and that you naturally have people listening and following what you say. And I feel if we can bring that strands of wisdom that encompasses women into the tech world, we can only benefit from that. The fact that we are innovative by nature, the fact that we are teachers by nature, the fact that intrinsically women are powerful. It is just important for us to tell that girl child that she's not bossy, that she is being strong, you know. It's important for me that we don't dull the girl child's voice, you know, because I think we always hear children should be seen and not heard. And I think that as 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 girls grow, that never leaves them. But then we expect this 21-year-old girl now to suddenly find her voice,
To have an
you
opinion.
know, to have
Mm.
an opinion, to be strong, to take charge, when all her life she's heard, you are not supposed to be heard. You know, you should be quiet in the kitchen. And I think unless we are disruptive now, I think unless we are bold in our approach, the girl child is not going to feel confident with sitting at the table and, as Cheryl Sandberg says, leaning in. Um,
Mm.
because that confidence is taken away. So it's important that we tell women that they are enough, and that we show women that they are enough, that they can, that they already are doing so. They may not have the fancy titles that the corporate world bestows on them, but in the fact that she is looking after her siblings during the day, that is leadership and ownership and accountability. That she is walking kids younger than her home from school, you know, is responsibility. And all of that is what we need in today's world, ownership and accountability, in order for the tech world to be successful. Never mind the diversity that she brings. Never mind that, you know, her voice is probably initially going to start out small. It's going to grow with the volumes of women that we have to bring through the doors. Um, it is proven that women naturally fulfill these roles, even though they don't have the title, and not just in the tech world. If we look at the leaders um, in the world today, the Michelle Obamas, you know, the Maya Angelou's, the Winnies, it is, you know, it is important that we actually step up of the legacy of what these women have already put in place. And we need to tell these girls that it's okay. Firstly, it's okay to fail, but it's okay to pick yourself up and move forward. And secondly, that you are enough. And it's good for you to actually stand on your own 2 feet and move forward.
Fabulous.
Absolutely. Such great advice for our young members who are listening to Ronelle today. And I really like what you're saying, Ronelle. It's okay to be you because you are enough. And one of the slogans we use at Girls in Tech is, as I am, you know, tech is for you as you are. So yes, we hope that more girls choose the building across the road
Great analogy.
and, and take on a role in tech. And we really hope that our members can benefit from you sharing your story today. We really appreciate you, Renelle. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. And in passing, if you are a girl who loves to ask why questions, if you are a girl who likes to understand why things are happening, then definitely the BA role is for you. It is exciting. It's never the same. It is a way that you can, you know, build not only great systems but great processes and great people, um, and just put so much amazing spirit and tech out there, so that you can stamp your name out there and say, look, this is what I did and this is what we did together. And then in passing, I have the one Michelle Obama quote that I'd really like to say is, every girl, and I hope I don't mess this up, every girl, no matter where she lives, deserves the opportunity to develop the promise inside of her. And that for me resonates very widely, because I am a girl from Mitchell's Plain in Lentegeur, and today I have met amazing people and built a great career with the support of many others and lots of other women. Anushka, you are one of them. And I do thank you so much for the opportunity to share my story. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's been an honor having you with us, and we're looking forward to sharing this video series with our members and beyond. Thanks so much.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank